Well, I think it's really a good testament in terms of the physicality of your offensive line more so than anything else. I think that sets a really good tone and tempo for who we want to be as a football team going forward. To be able to run the ball and run it successfully throughout the season with Antonio is really good. He missed a game, so he was able to do it in 16 games, and that was good. It was really good for him. It was kind of neat because you saw him when in the locker room, when we talked about it, how confident and comfortable he was with himself, and just really how much that unit has stuck together and done that kind of a job as far as the blocking to get a guy to rush for 1,000 yards.
Ron, with Antonio, when he has a game like this too, you talk about confidence and comfortable. Where do you see that specifically when he's running the ball?
Wanting the ball more, not wanting to come out, stuff like that. I mean, when you see a guy want to, get up quickly and get back in the huddle and just, you could tell the guy's really got a little bit of a rhythm going and some confidence with that.
Any update on Cam Curl?
Yeah, he took a shot to the knee, but it was more of just the contact and maybe a little bit of a hyperextension. But for the most part, they brought him in, examined him, got an X-ray. The X-ray was fine. So we're just optimistic. It was really just more of a bruise, hopefully, and a little bit of a strain, if anything.
You're able to win your last game of the year for the second year in a row, but how different does this feel compared to where you guys were a year ago?
This was a little disappointing just because, we had a tough stretch and we couldn't make hay during that tough stretch. Because if we had, we could be waiting to see what happens later on today. And that's unfortunate. The best thing about it, though, was the way the guys rallied around each other, came out and played for one another, and really helped to set the tempo and the tone going into the offseason and going into next season.
Going back to Antonio too, because you want to build on what he does, right?
Yes.
So,
yes.
Was there a difference in his patience and the decisiveness with some of his cuts today?
Yes, I thought he made a couple of really nice decisions. Unfortunate was that last time he carried, when he went to try and make the cut, if he doesn't slip, he might get into the end zone. So I think he's really grown a lot. I think, what Coach Jordan and Coach King have done with him, this year in terms of his growth has been really good to see. It really has.
And obviously, earlier in the week, Joe Judge had made a couple comments about the organization, plowing, the fighting and all that. What's your take?
My take on that is, that you didn't know what our guys go through. To make a comment like that, I thought was unfair, just because people don't understand that these guys have gone through an awful lot in a very short period of time. With the whole COVID outbreak and situation like that. With the unfortunate accident, with the untimely death of a couple of other people, that's not, you got to understand these are young men that are going through a tough time.
Did you talk to him after the game about that?
Yeah, it was fine, absolutely fine.
Coach, can you talk about it's a long season.
Yep.
You guys play a physical schedule, especially in the NFC East. Talk about the mentality that you learned from the beginning of the season and now.
Well, the biggest thing learned, more so than anything else, was really just the resilience of these young men. Again, as I said, this is a very difficult time, not just for football players, but for society itself. And, you're going to have problems, you're going to have issues, and it's just a matter of being able to rely and lean on one another and hopefully be able to come out on top.
Ron, you've talked a lot about this season about if we don't have the quarterback, we need to have the pieces in place. Did it teach you about any of the pieces that you did have or that maybe that you still need?
Well, one thing we'll take away from this most certainly is exactly what we saw with the offensive line. I mean, we feel really comfortable, really good about who that group is. That's what precipitated us wanting to get Leno done as quickly as we could. We feel he's a pretty good piece for us going forward. You like what we saw from the wide receivers. Terry McLaurin got his 1,000 yards back to back, and I think the thing that shows you is if we get some guys back on the field, get Curtis back out there next year. What that might be able to do for us. Get Logan back out there. That might, really help. And then when you look at some of the things that we did defensively, and you see those moments, especially during the stretch when we won 4 in a row, it shows you what we're capable of, and that's what I'm going to take from all that stuff.
I know you made it clear earlier in the week that you intended to play to win this game. Was that ultimately why you decided to keep your starters in for the entire day of the game, or was there something else you were kind of looking for?
No. That's why we played to win, and that was it. And that will always be my approach. And I'm not going to apologize for that. We're going to do the best we can every time we get on that football field.
What's next for you? Like after this game this week,
Well, we'll meet tomorrow with the guys. Kind of talk. We're going to talk to everybody and tell them exactly what we expect of them as we start going forward and getting ready for next season.
Last January, you spent a lot of time building your front office. What will not having to do something like that now allow you to do?
Take a break, and then we're ready. Already, the pieces are in place in terms of looking at the college players. We're going to be very busy as a group going to the different college games in terms of the All-Star games. We'll have a presence at every one of them. When we start getting ready for the combine, we'll have meetings in terms of all those things will be prepared for our guys, for our coaches. And then when we're ready for free agency, we'll be able to hit the ground running. All those things are in place. It's been kind of neat. The last few weeks, that one of the things that I've been doing as well, because they're in place, is being able to sit down and meet and go through some of the personnel stuff.
No matter how a season ends, you're never going to bring everybody back again, one way or the other. What's that like? Every time you have to go through this, knowing you're saying possibly goodbye to some guys, no matter what.
It's tough because again, you really appreciate the effort that you get, and I mean that. I'm being very sincere. I really do. And we had a lot of guys that came in the last few weeks. We plucked a couple guys off of some rosters, and we'll see how everything unfolds and see who does come back because it's tough. I mean, you can't keep everybody, and it's hard. You want to keep as many of these guys as you can, though.
Nikki, last one.
Do you anticipate making any staff changes?
Say it again?
Do you anticipate making any staff changes?
No, I don't anticipate doing anything other than the things that we need to do to go forward.